Sa ating mga Filipino, especially sa mga Katoliko, ay nakasanayan na natin ang magsimba tuwing linggo at lalo na kapag may mga okasyon katulad ng Christmas at Fiesta. So, bakit nga ba naging religious ang mga Filipino? Hindi ba kayo nagtataka kung bakit napaka-religious natin mga Filipino? So, even before the Spaniards came to colonize our country, natives had been and still worshipping pagan gods. The Spaniards only served to unify the country in terms of religiosity. Christianity became our identity and made the Philippines the only predominantly Christian country in Asia during those times. Spain introduced Christianity to the Philippines in 1565 with the arrival of Miguel Lopez de Legazpi. So, sino nga ba si Miguel Lopez de Legazpi? Miguel Lopez de Legazpi, also known as El Adelantado and El Viejo, the Elder, was a Spanish conquistador who financed and led an expedition to conquer the Philippine Islands in the mid-16th century. Have you guys asking yourself or been curious, bakit ba mayroon tayong simba? At kailan at saan ba ang kauna-unahang simba na nangyari? The intention of the first Mass in the Philippines was to establish the Catholic faith and convert the indigenous population to Christianity. The significance of the first Mass was both spiritual and political, and it marked the beginning of Spanish colonization and the spread of Catholicism in the Philippines. The main topic is all about where did the first Catholic Mass take place in the Philippines. But before that, let's talk first about Antonio Pigafetta. Sino nga ba si Antonio Pigafetta? Antonio Pigafetta was a member of Magellan Expedition and an eyewitness of the events, particularly of the First Mass. Antonio Pigafetta was an Italian scholar and explorer from the Republic of Venice. He joined the expedition to the Spice Islands led by explorer Ferdinand Magellan. He served as Magellan assistant and kept an accurate journal. Pigafetta was one of the 18 men out of 240 who returned to Spain in 1522. We have two sources here. The first one is the log kept by Francisco Albo, a pilot of one of Magellan's ship, Trinidad. He was one of the 18 survivors who returned with Sebastian Elcano on the ship Victoria after they circumnavigated the world. The second one is the account by Antonio Pigafetta, Primo Viaggio Intorno al Mondo, which means first voyage around the world. He was a member of Magellan Expedition and an eyewitness of the events, particularly of the first Mass. Proceed to the three possible places where the first Mass held. First place is Masao or Masao. The first documented Catholic Mass in the Philippines was held on March 31, 1521, Easter Sunday. It was conducted by Father Pedro de Valderrama of Ferdinand Magellan's expedition along the shores of what was referred to in the journals of Antonio Pigafetta as Mazaua. Among the evidence that is used by the group of Pro-Butuan were several accounts composed by non-eyewitness decades after the 1521 Easter Sunday Mass. Furthermore, the 1872 monument in Magallanes, Agusan del Norte. All these accounts asserted the first Mass was held in Masao in Butuan. So, ang historia na si Zaide ay nagbase sa diary ni Antonio Pigafetta na nagsasabi na ang first Mass ay ginanap sa Butuan. The second one is Bolinao. Odoric of Pordenan, an Italian and Franciscan friar, a missionary explorer, believed that the first Mass happened is in Bolinao, Pangasinan. Therefore, many Pangasinenses believe that the first Mass was held in Bolinao. But the only evidence they had is the marker in front of Bolinao Church states that the first Mass on Philippine soil was celebrated in Bolinao Bay in 1324 by a Franciscan missionary Blessed Odorico. The third and the last one is Limasawa. So they based on Francisco Albo logbook, one of the pilot in the voyage of Magellan, who is included in 18 survivor, writes on his book that they erected a cross on a mountain that overlooks the island. Jesuit priest Miguel A. Bernard studied Pigafetta map and noticed that on Pigafetta's journal, he didn't mention the crucial aspect of Butuan, the river, which makes a distinct characteristic of Butuan's geography that seemed to be much important to be missed. After that, in 1996, it reasserted the famous assumption impelled by Republic Act 2733 that the first Holy Mass was celebrated in Limasawa Island on March 31, 1521. NHI illustrated the memories of Antonio Pigafetta, who chronicled the procession of Ferdinand Magellan as the only valid primary source that results in the best evidence of the happening of the first Mass in Limasawa, Southern Leyte. Therefore, the first Catholic Mass in the Philippines was held on March 31, 1521, Easter Sunday. It was officiated by a priest named Father Pedro Valderrama in the shore of Mazaua in Pigafetta's journal, whom people believe in the town, especially in the shore of Limasawa in Southern Leyte. It is popularly known as the birthplace of the church in the Philippines. To end the conflict for the issue about the first Mass, the other places' evidence is not convincing enough to prove. So the first documented Catholic Mass in the Philippines was held on Limasawa. It was conducted by Father Pedro Valderrama of Ferdinand Magellan's expedition. The next case study will be tackled is all about what happened in the Cavite Mutiny. The year 1872 is a historic year of two events: the Cavite Mutiny and the martyrdom of the three priests, later on immortalized as Gumbursa. What made this year controversial are the different sides to the story. A battle of perspective supported by primary source, which in effect a major factor in the awakening of nationalism among the Filipinos. We have two different perspectives about what happened in Cavite Mutiny. The first one is 1872 Cavite Mutiny, Spanish perspective. Jose Montero y Vidal, a prolific Spanish historian, documented the event and highlighted it is an attempt of the Indios to overthrow the Spanish government in the Philippines. Meanwhile, Governor General Rafael Izquierdo's official report magnified the event and made use of it to implicate the native clergy, which was then active in the call for secularization. According to two Spaniards, what happened in 1872 was the Filipinos had early planning among educated leaders, mestizos, abogadillos or native lawyers, residents of Manila and Cavite and the native clergy. And they also indicated that the organization of Cavite and Manila planned to kill those in a high position to follow the massacre of the friar. Their starting signal is the fireworks that will happen at the Intramuros fence. But it happened that there was a festival celebration going on in Sampaloc district on January 20, 1872. And the event of the festival was the fireworks display. So nang magkaroon na ng firework display sa kapistahan, ay akala ng 200 men sa Cavite ay yun na yung hudyat at sila ay sumugod sa pangunguna ni Sergeant Lamadrid. At inatake nila ang mga Espanyol na opisyal at kinuha ang arsenal. After that, nalaman ni Governor Izquierdo ang nangyari kaya pinalakas niya ang puwersa ng mga Espanyol sa Cavite para matigil ang himagsikan. At walang nakarating na reinforcement galing sa Maynila dahil hindi naman nila nalaman. Napatay ang mga pangunahing instigador kabilang si Sergeant Lamadrid sa labanan. On February 17, 1872, in an attempt by the Spanish government and Fray Locracia to instill fear in the Filipinos so that they will not do such a dare again, Gumbursa was killed. This event was tragic but served as one of the driving forces that shaped Filipino nationalism. The second one is a response to injustice, the Filipino version of the incident. Dr. Trinidad Hermenegildo Pardo de Travera, a Filipino scholar and researcher, wrote the Filipino version of the bloody incident in Cavite. In his view, the incident was just a revolt by the native Filipino soldiers and workers of Cavite Arsenal came out displeased with the removal of their privilege. There was only an attack because the Filipino did not want or could not stomach the rule of the Spaniards in our own country. On January 20, 1872, there were groups of soldiers, arsenal, and citizens of Cavite. They consisted of 200 people, and they rushed and killed the commanding officer and Spanish officers on site. At sila ay umaasa na makakuha ng tulong galing sa Manila. Pero sa kasamaang palad ay hindi nangyari. Ang balitang ito ay tungkol sa pag-aalsa ay nakarating sa mga otoridad sa Maynila at agad na nag-utos si General Izquierdo ang pagpapalakas ng mga tropang Espanyol sa Cavite. Nang nakaraan ng 2 araw, opisyal na idineklara ang paghihimagsik. Then naniwala din siya na ginamit lang ng prailing Espanyol ang Cavite Mutiny bilang isang malaking pingga na mas nagpapalaki sa sabwatan ng mga sundalo, mga tao sa Cavite at Manila at mga kaparian para mapabagsak ang pamumuno ng mga Espanyol. At inalis din ng mga Espanyol sa mga praile ang kanilang kapangyarihan sa iba't ibang layunin gaya ng sa edukasyon. At kaya nainis sa mga praile at nagkaroon sila ng pananaw na makagawa ng marahas na gawain para lang mapanatili sa atin ang kapangyarihan. Central Government of Spain welcomed an educational degree authored by Sigismundo Moret, promoted the fusion of sectarian schools run by the friars into a school called Philippines Institute. The decree proposed to improve the standards of education in the Philippines by requiring teaching position in such schools to be filled by competitive examination. Native priests believed that they as Filipinos should have more control and responsibility in their own churches. They believed that their knowledge and understanding of the culture and tradition of their countrymen will give them greater ability to serve their parishes. Their desire for secularization gave rise to many tension and conflict between native priests and foreign friars. Despite this, it also motivated many Filipinos to revolt and fight for their rights against the Spaniards. After that, natakot ang mga praile na mawala na lang sa Pilipinas ang impluwensya nila. At kinalungkot na kinumpirma ni Travera na totoong pakana ito at hindi man lang nila inimbestagahan ang totoong nangyari o lawak na sinasabing revolusyon na inuulat ni Izquierdo at ng mga praile. And furthermore, convicted educated men who participated in the mutiny were sentenced life imprisonment while members of the native clergy headed by the Gumbursa were tried and executed by garrote. Let's talk about the next case study with the title of Rizal Retract. Jose Rizal is identified as a hero of the revolution for his writings that center on ending on colonialism and liberating Filipino minds to contribute to creating the Filipino nation. Sino nga ba si Jose Rizal? Jose Portasio Rizal Mercado y Alonso Riolonda, born on June 19, 1861 and executed on December 30, 1896, was a Filipino nationalist, writer, and polymath active at the end of the Spanish colonial period of the Philippines. He is considered a national hero or pambansang bayan of the Philippines. An ophthalmologist by profession, Rizal became a writer and key member of the Filipino propaganda movement which advocated political reforms for the colony under Spain. He was a multifaceted intellectual and political activist, best known for his political writings that inspired the Philippine Revolution and ultimately led to his execution by the Spanish colonizers. Rizal's most notable contribution include his writings, which advocated for political reforms and social change in the Philippines. His novels No Limitang Here, or with the English word Touch Me Not, and El Filibusterismo, The Reign of Greed, expose the abuses and injustices committed by the Spanish colonial government and the clergy. I have a question for you guys. If may pangako ka or may nasabi kang pangako sa bayan, then after a while ay binawi mo yung pangako mo, it is right or it is bad? Kasi for me, it depends sa situation ng taong nangako. So, some people said that Rizal retracted because he had a reason and he was protecting something, which is the people. There are people who don't believe that Rizal retracted the writings. And some said when Rizal retracted the writing, and it was like he retracted the facts about what happened in the past. And why would Rizal take back everything he wrote? Because all his wrapping will be wasted. And if Rizal retracted his writings, he also retracted that the friars tortured us and deprived us of governing our own country. There are some words here that show the original and what is just a copy. Neither the Archbishop nor Father P saw the original document of retraction. What they saw was a copy done by one who could imitate Rizal's handwriting, while the original almost eaten by the termites. So, yung original is napakatagal na talaga. And ito ay tinatago ng mga friars. Both the Archbishop and Father P acted innocently because they did not distinguish between the genuine and the imitation of Rizal's handwriting. There are some evidences to prove that Rizal's retraction is not true. Dr. Pascual says that the handwriting on the retraction does not match to Rizal's handwriting. Some said that the real content of the retraction is different, and the real content of the retraction is the document released by Padre Garcia in 1935, where it is not stated in the document that Rizal retracted everything he published, but his writings and actions that are contrary to his status as a child of the Catholic Church. However, Rizal is our hero. Whether he retracted it or not, people should still investigate about it. And if he did not do it and the documents are fake, the person who made the fake documents should be held accountable because he intended to deceive the entire country. And we should keep quiet about the retraction because we should give respect to our national hero. Now let's proceed to our latest case, which is the Cry of Rebellion. The Cry of Rebellion defined as the turning point when the Filipinos finally refused Spanish colonial dominion over the Philippine Islands. With the tears in their eyes, the people as one man pulled out their cedulas and tore them into pieces. It was the beginning of the formal declaration of the separation from Spanish rule. After Bonifacio's death on May 10, 1897, in Maragondon, Cavite, General Emilio Aguinaldo continued the revolution. He declared the independence of the country from Spain on June 12, 1898 at Kawit, Cavite. A monument for the heroes of 1896 was erected at the corner of Epifanio de los Santos Avenue, EDSA, and in Bonifacio Drive on 1962, and then on the Cry was celebrated every 26th of August. But in our case, where did the Cry Rebellion happen? May iba't ibang tao na nagbabanggit ng iba't ibang lugar na doon daw nangyari ang Cry of Rebellion. Ang una na dyan is si Lieutenant Olegario Diaz. According to him, the cry happened in Balintawak on August 25, 1896. And according to Chodoro M. Calao, a historian, says it happens in Kangkong, Balintawak last week of August 1896. According to Santiago Alvarez, a Katipunero and son of Mariano Alvarez, a leader of Magdiwang faction in Cavite, said that it happened in Bahay Toro in Quezon City on August 24, 1896. According to Pio Valenzuela, also a Katipunero and privy in many events concerning Katipunan, said that it happened at Bugadlawin on 23rd of August. And according to Gregorio Saide, identified that it happened at Balintawak 26th of August. And according to Teodoro Agoncillo, put it at Bugadlawin on August 23, 1896 in accordance to Pio Valenzuela's account. Saan nga ba talaga ito nangyari? May mga ilang books ang na-publish kaya't iba-iba din ang paniniwala ng mga tao kung saan ba talaga ito nangyari. At may mga movie din na nailabas at naipanood sa mga madaming tao. At iba din ang lugar kung saan nangyari ang Cry of Rebellion. Pero sabi ng ibang tao ay wala daw eksaktong lugar na kung saan ito nangyari. Dahil ito daw ay strategy upang hindi matunton ang lugar kung saan ito tunay nang nangyari. For another information, the Cry of Pugadlawin or Sigaw ng Pugadlawins refers to an important event in the history of the Philippines. This is the day when the Filipinos first expressed their desire to revolt against the Spaniards. The cry or shout is symbolic for expressing their feelings and desire to be free. Pugadlawin is the place where it happened, which is now known as part of Quezon City. So it means, sinasabi dito na sa Pugadlawin talaga nangyari ang Cry of Rebellion. Pero ito ay nakadepende na lang sa tao o kaya sa resources na pagkukunan niya kung saan siya maniniwala. Lastly, for addition, there are important events in the Filipino history related to the Cry of Pugadlawin. The Cry of Pugadlawin served as the beginning of the Filipino rebellion against the Spaniards. This gave rise to other important events in the history of the Philippines. Here's some of them. First one is Battle of San Juan del Monte. This is the first battle that took place after the Cry of Pugadlawin. Here Andres Bonifacio led the Katipuneros against the Spaniards. The second one is establishment of the Republic of Biak na Bato. This was the first republic established by the Filipinos. This also resulted in the Treaty of Biak na Bato, which temporarily ended the rebellion. The third one is Declaration of Independence in Kawit, Cavite. This is the day when Filipinos first declared their independence from the Spaniards. This took place on June 12, 1898. The fourth one is May 1, 1898. This is the day of the Battle of Manila Bay, where the Americans defeated the Spanish fleet. And the last one is Treaty of Paris. This is the agreement where Spain sold the Philippines to the United States. There are just some of the important events related to the Cry of Pugadlawin. Each of them played a major role in shaping the history of the Philippines. That's the last one of our case study. That's all. Thank you for watching and thank you for listening. And I have some words for you guys before the end of the video. History is very important to today's world because there are some problems that we experience, so the past will help us to solve the problem. That's all. Thank you.